Hello, everybody. I'm Jackie K. Cooper here with
For Howell.
and it is Tell All Tuesday,
That's
and
right.
we have been waiting all week because you were going to go to the true crime or whatever you
Yes.
call it podcast
Yes.
in Atlanta
In Atlanta, at the Fox.
at the Fox, because you sent a picture I saw, so it was the Fox.
Yes.
And were they airing it while they did it?
They did not record it.
Oh, let's say who they were first.
Oh, yeah. Let me give the backstory.
Yes.
I went and saw Crime Junkie with Ashley Flowers and Britt. I think it's Praywit. I think that's how you say her last name. Ashley and Britt.
Two young women.
Yes. And they
About
are...
what age?
They're in their 30s, I think.
Okay.
I think. They are the host of the #1 true crime podcast in the world. And they did a show in Atlanta this past weekend. They're on tour right now, and they are covering a case that they have never covered on their podcast. And I had no idea what the case was going to be until I got there and read the playbill. And I was trying to Google like what the case was before the show, so I would have some idea of what to expect. Couldn't find anything on it. And I realized once the show was about to start, somebody went around holding up a sign that said no phones, no pictures, no videos. So that's why there's nothing on the internet about the case that they covered.
Before we get into that, can I ask you, what is Ashley and Britt's, what is their background that causes them to do this?
I believe Ashley has a background in law enforcement. I don't think she was like a police officer or anything, but I want to say that she worked in and around law enforcement.
Okay.
Britt, I think, is just Ashley's best friend. They're childhood friends.
Oh, that's
and they've
good.
always had an interest in true crime like me. So I think when Ashley, I think, probably came up to Britt and was like, do you just want to be here, like, bounce, conversation off of me while I do this true crime podcast?
Kind of like I do with you. So
Right.
Just appear on camera and...
Right, and just chit-chat.
Yeah.
Ashley does the majority of the storytelling, and Britt will give her opinion or read case documents every now and then. Britt doesn't say too much. Ashley does most of the storytelling.
Was there a good crowd?
There was a great crowd.
It
was a
because
good
the Fox is a huge
It's a big venue.
arena.
Big crowd. I would say a pretty good production. Me and my dad went as well, and we both said that we would have done one thing. We would have done one thing differently, and that was, and you'll have to look it up after we talk about it, but the podcast intro music is so iconic. And you would know it if you heard it, probably, but they did not, in my opinion, play it loud enough and long enough when they walked on stage, to get everybody hyped up and excited. They should have played it louder. They should have played it longer, but they didn't.
Well, did they take questions?
They did not take questions.
Whoa.
I think that there's a fine line between putting on a production and getting money from people who bought your tickets and respecting the victim's family and making sure that you're not just like entertaining people and exploiting somebody's murder. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just saying, if I went, I'd want to be able to ask a question.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be a Q&A, but they did not do that. They did not really...
So they just talked then for how long?
They told the story. I think the show was about 2.5 hours, 2 hours.
Wow.
But they had pre-recorded excerpts of people talking that were part of the case that they interviewed. So
they showed those up on a screen?
Yeah, they were probably every 10 minutes or so, there would be a 3-minute clip of one of the people in the story talking about something and kind of added a different element.
Have they solved the crime?
No, it has not been solved. But I have a theory on who did it.
Ooh, after seeing that.
After seeing that, I have a theory. They put the wrong person behind bars originally. And so that was the first half of the story.
Was found guilty of the crime.
And he was not
guilty. Now he's out.
He's out of prison. But there are 3 suspects that they talked about at the the second half of the show. And there's one of them that stands out significantly to me that it's almost obvious that he did it.
2.5 hours is a long time.
It was like two.
Did they have an intermission?
No intermission.
No intermission.
No.
Wow.
And
But you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. The only thing that bothered me was it was a little bit hot in there. I wish that they had the air on cold, full blast, because it was toasty in there.
Because it was Saturday night, right?
Saturday night, and you know the weather's getting hotter, especially in Georgia, and it was hot in there.
Now, did they say where they were off to next?
I don't know where they were going,
I mean,
but
it's just like a nationwide.
They had just come from Orlando before they came to Atlanta, so I don't know where they are now. But
Isn't that amazing, though, that they have the #1 podcast
in the world, true crime podcast in the
True
world.
crime. True crime.
We should go on tour.
Yes.
Where do you want to go? We need some tour dates. Call your people up and let them know.
I'll let them know. I'll let them know. All right. Well, so you would go back if another.
Yes. If they were doing another case.
Did Carmen go?
No. Me, Cody, my mom, and my dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, are your parents true crime people?
My dad is. My mom, not so much.
Well, your dad kind of works in
He works in law enforcement. Yeah, so he's around that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Did y'all make a big night out of it? Go out to eat?
We went to dinner.
Where'd you go to eat? Doesn't even remember.
Couldn't tell you. It was Mexican. We had tacos.
Oh, well.
Yeah, it was good
I love
though.
tacos.
Love tacos. It was good.
Just a night out with the parents.
With the parents.
In Atlanta.
In Atlanta.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Last week we talked about Stranger Things.
Yes, we did. Coming to Broadway.
Coming to Broadway. I looked it up. It opened April 22nd.
Why have I not heard anything about this?
I don't know. And it is a prequel.
So it's not
To
the
the
Stranger
series.
Things story.
It's a prequel. So some of the characters are the same, but it's post where the Stranger Things series started.
Post or pre?
Not post.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes.
I'm still gonna check it out probably.
I hope you do. But
I could do a day trip to New York.
it was like mixed reviews though.
So not
Somebody, I was reading different people who had seen it and reviewed it, and it went from wildly entertaining, great special effects to worst thing I've ever seen.
That's a big spectrum.
But I would expect that because Stranger Things, the series, is not for everybody.
Yeah.
There were some people who would be just, don't want to watch that.
You like it though, right?
I do like it.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that.
I know.
That fifth and final season.
Final season. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
I am also
ready.
But it is running right now, so
Maybe I'll hop on a plane and
you
head up there this
Broadway's
weekend.
so iffy these days. Sometimes things close quickly, sometimes they have an extended run, but
I need to get up there fast.
you need to get up there fast. I
I could do a day trip up there.
would say book your trip.
Yeah. 2 hour flight up, 2 hour flight back. I could do that in a day.
Yes, easily.
Easy.
Just fly up.
Easy.
Fly up, go somewhere and have some tacos. Go to the play.
Yeah. Come
Fly
on.
back.
Yeah.
Go to work the next day.
Go to work the next day. That's right.
That's the kind of person
That's
you
the
are.
kind of person I am.
You are Amber and Perry.
That's right.
They
Like
have Emily and
Paris.
Paris. We've got Amber and Perry.
That's right. They should make a show about
That's
me.
right.
I should be on TV.
That would be it.
Yeah.
Do you know who Walton Goggins is?
You've said his name.
Okay. He's in White Lotus this season. And he was in a movie that I reviewed last week called Uninvited. And he is going to be the host on Saturday Night Live on May 10th, I think it is. That's the next to the last show. And then I think Scarlett Johansson is going to host the last show for the season. But everything right now is Walton Goggins.
Because he's the star of White Lotus.
But yeah, everything's just coming together. I think he's in the show, used to be The Righteous Gemstones, which is on a streaming series. But it just amazes me how all of a sudden everything comes together for one person. They just become the person.
Yeah.
And this is Walton Goggins, and he's from Georgia.
What part of Georgia?
I think around Statesboro.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. I think.
Really?
Maybe Valdosta, but I think. I met him in Atlanta, and I was interviewing somebody else, and he was staying at the same hotel they were, and he came by, and the person I was interviewing said, "Hey, Walton," and I knew who he was, and he was like, "Oh, get 2 for 1 here."
2 for 1.
Yeah.
You're so cool, Jackie. You're so cool.
But that was probably 15 years ago.
I have a question.
What?
All of those interviews that you did that were not recorded, did you take notes?
What do you mean? Did I take
like
notes?
Where is like the
transcript
or like the interview?
There is no transcript.
What did you do after you interviewed these people? Then
I went home. It was on tape.
All of them were on tape?
And some were for the newspaper. Now those were in print at some time. Lord knows where they are.
They've got to be somewhere.
I know that the guy who's doing the movie on me,
coming soon,
he has found some old reviews and things.
Look at him go.
Yeah.
I want to see them.
Yeah.
We're excited about that documentary, which is still happening. I know we talked about it many months ago, but
we've talked about it, but
it's in production.
Langston is still going strong.
Editing.
We'll see what he says.
Yeah. What else we got?
One last thing.
Okay.
As I go onto the web and get entertainment news and blah 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 blah, everything I read is like such and such movie, a spin-off of Hunger Games, such and such movie, a 6-second prequel to Hunger Games.
Yeah.
There are like 4 or 5 Hunger Games movies being made.
There's something coming out soon. Well,
why? I mean, where are these things coming from?
The person that wrote the Hunger Games just released a new book recently
Is
about
that the song that went Songbirds?
No, that came out in 2023. But this one,
you're big onto this.
I love the Hunger Games. This one is about Haymitch, and when
who is Haymitch?
Remember in the Hunger Games, he's the one that is like the mentor for Katniss. He's the drunk.
Okay.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about?
But
Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, but what I'm hearing is that they're going to go back and do his backstory.
Yeah, that's what they're doing in this. Yep.
Get a good thing, and then I read somebody else has been cast in another Colleen Hoover.
And I haven't given her a chance, but I have no desire to read a Colleen Hoover book. You don't either, do you?
I don't either. Yeah. Which is strange for me.
Yeah.
Because she's popular.
Yeah. You think you'd give her... Love that song. I played that song so much after I saw Wicked. Cody was like, turn it off.
Give it a rest.
It's not a good song. I think it's a great song.
Yeah. Last weekend, I went to see a movie called Sinners.
Okay. Yeah. With Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan. And when it was over, Terry said, "What'd you think?" And I said, "I loved it."
She didn't like it.
And she said, "Okay." And I said, "You didn't?" She said, "It was good." But it was one of those movies I loved it. And then the more I thought about it, the less I loved it. The less I loved it.
Was it horror?
It was horror, but horror... It was, you might really love it because it's vampires and...
Okay, so that kind of horror.
That kind of horror.
Not like paranormal, scary...
No, this is vampires.
Okay.
And it even goes back to the thing about, and I remember this seeing an old vampire movie, and I don't think it's the case in every vampire movie, but in this movie and in the old vampire movie I remember seeing, you have to invite a vampire in. Have you ever seen that?
Well, I've only really watched Twilight.
Oh. Okay. Well, did they have to be invited in there?
No.
Okay. Well, like they knock on the door.
And you have to like...
And you go up and they say, "Hey, I thought I'd come by and, is it okay if I come in?"
Mm-hmm.
And if you say yes.
Then they get you. That's kind of scary.
Yeah. But you have to say yes. Or you have to say, "Come on in."
Uh-huh. They have to be invited.
Yes.
Interesting.
But I've seen a lot of vampire movies, but I've seen some that require to be let in.
And some where they don't have to be.
Some where they didn't have to.
People that write vampire movies, you need to get your story straight.
But these are still the same type of vampires that when the sun comes up, they just...
They disappear.
They burn.
They burn?
They burn.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because in Twilight, they sparkled.
And then they died, didn't they?
No.
They didn't die?
They just sparkled.
What killed them in Twilight?
You had to be like... Your head had to be ripped off, and then they had to like burn you at the stake. That's how you died. In Twilight.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is just a wild grab, but in this Walton Goggins movie that I just saw, his co-star was an actress named Elizabeth Reeser. And she was in Twilight.
Yes, she was. That's how I know that name.
Who did she play?
I think she was the mom.
Because, was the mom's name Esme?
Esme.
Yeah, that was her, Elizabeth Reeser. I knew I'd seen her. And I looked at it, it said Twilight Game, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so.
Yep, that's her.
Thank you.
She's in all kind of vampire things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's all I've got.
Yeah, that's all I've got.
You got anything to add?
That's it. I didn't see a movie this week, so maybe next week.
Maybe next week, but she did see a crime.
I did see a podcast.
Yes,
I did.
But this has been Jackie K. Cooper and
Amber Howell.
And this has been Tell All Tuesday.